Hey there, Freedom Forgers. Do you want to step up your food security and become more self-reliant? Learning to eat seasonally and foraging wild edibles can put another tool in your preparedness tool belt. So join us today on Forging Freedom TV, and we're going to show you how to get it done.
Well, hello, Freedom Forgers, and welcome to Forging Free Radio YouTube channel. Hey, part of being self-sufficient and being prepared and not being dependent on other systems is being able to grow your own food. But along with that is being able to eat in a way that the things you're going to make are the things that are in season. For instance, if you are trying to grow strawberries in January, in my part of the world, that's just not going to happen. So if you want strawberry shortcake in January, you're going to have a tough time providing that for yourself. So it would be a good idea, while times are good, to prepare ourselves to eat more seasonally. And so it makes you start to do a mental exercise about what is in season this time of year. So all of your spring things are growing in your garden, and there's also wild things that are growing. Now, what we're going to make today is a potato, chive, and lamb's quarter soup. So I've gone out and I've harvested some of my chives, along with the flowers. They're edible as well. And then I have a big patch of lamb's quarter, which is a wild plant. A lot of people consider it a weed, but it tastes much like spinach. And I always let a few of those plants grow all through the summer so that they will produce a lot of seeds in this patch for me. And that means that there's a lot for me to harvest. So this is lamb's quarter right here. I know you've probably seen this if you've been around pastures. It gets huge, but I want to show you up close what the leaf looks like, so that you may recognize it. It's an arrowhead-shaped leaf, and you want to eat these when they're young. These are all pretty tender and young. We've been getting a lot of rain in my area. So what we're going to do is we're going to prepare a cup of these, and we're going to prepare a cup of chives chopped, and then we're going to peel 6 potatoes. Okay, so I've got my chives chopped, and I've got the lamb's quarter chopped, and I've also peeled some potatoes. Now, this recipe calls for you to saute an onion. If you're sticking with me here, you can see that this might be a problem. In my part of the country, in northern Utah, onions aren't ready yet. And to be honest, any onions I had from last year are long gone. They were either rotten or we had eaten them. So, what can you do? Well, you could dry onions and reconstitute them and use them in the soup, which is probably what I'm going to do. Or you could just simply skip the onions and use more chives. It's got a very oniony flavor. So, don't feel like when you have these recipes that you can't change anything. If you don't have it, you don't have it. It also is calling for some fresh minced garlic. Now, I do have some garlic out in the garden, but it won't be really mature until the first part of June. However, I'm going to go out and I'm going to harvest one and see if it's usable. If not, I've also got dried garlic, and I've got garlic powder, and I've got garlic salt, which I'll show you guys how to make in another video. If I do make that video, it'll be linked above. So keep an eye out for that. So I'm going to go out and harvest that garlic, take a look at it, and see what I think. If not, we'll just use the dried garlic or the powdered garlic in this recipe. Okay, guys, so I went out and I harvested a garlic to see what we're working with here. And you can see that the bulb is just barely starting to form. And this is a good-sized garlic. This is no baby garlic plant. These things are about, I would say, tip to tail, it's probably 3 foot tall. So the bulbs just aren't ready yet. We'll go ahead and we'll chop this up and we'll use it in this soup. But you can see the advantage of having fresh items, dried items, and canned items. Let's talk about that. So potatoes, right? You could still have potatoes in your root cellar from previous summer. In my case, I know that the potatoes start getting a little bit soft. Russets are your best storing potato. The red potatoes are super yummy, but they just don't last as long as the russets do. These are red potatoes that I got from the store. But remember, the goal here is to try to make a meal without going to the store. So what could you do in the case of potatoes? Well, you can dehydrate potatoes when you have an abundance of them. You can also can potatoes. So keep those things in mind. This is going to be a blended soup. We're going to run this through a blender. So the texture of the potato isn't really as important as having the potato in it. So I'm going to go ahead and get the garlic and everything sauteing, and then we'll be right back. All right, so I've got that garlic chopped up, but we are going to need a little bit more garlic, so we'll add that at another time. I just wanted to mention to you, if you are in a little warmer part of the country than I'm in, you may have garlic scapes available to you. But anyway, I just want to show you a quick way that I chop the potatoes while I'm at it, because we need to dice up all these potatoes. So what I do is I just take the potato and I come out as far as I'm going to want my cube to be, and I just cut that, and then I turn the flat side down. That way the potato's not rolling around and you can cut yourself. So, and then I just make the slices. Then I take the potato in half like that, make my cube cut that way, and there you go. All right, so I'm going to get all those cubed up, and then we're going to throw them in a saute of olive oil. We're going to saute it with the garlic, and then we'll get to that point and we'll move forward. All right, so we've got the potatoes and the garlic that we chopped up and the chives sauteing in a little bit of olive oil. We're going to let that saute for 3 or 4 minutes, and then we're going to add our vegetable broth. We haven't added our lamb's quarter yet, because lamb's quarter is very much like spinach, it's very tender, and since we're going to boil these potatoes in a minute in some broth after we saute them, we don't want the lamb's quarters to get too overcooked. We are now simmering our soup. We have put 3 cups of water in here, and the recipe actually calls for 3 cups of vegetable broth. Now, I don't have any vegetable broth. What I am going to use is some of this chicken better than bouillon base. I like this stuff because it's shelf stable. You can buy jars of this and store it, and you can also make your own chicken broth. When you butcher a chicken, you can certainly make tons and tons of broth and have that on the shelf. Our soup is happily simmering away, and what you want to remember is that if you're going to use any of your dried vegetables, this is the time to put them in while it's going to simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes until the potatoes are tender. So this is where we would add our dried minced onion and our garlic powder. Now, what you need to remember is that 1 tablespoon of dried chopped onion equals 1/4 cup of fresh chopped onion. So remember that when you're adding dried onion. Also, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder is equal to 1 large clove of garlic. So I'm going to go ahead and get those ingredients put in. I believe this recipe calls for 4 cloves of garlic. So I'll probably put in the equivalent of 3 cloves of garlic, since I did put some of the fresh garlic in there. So I've added my chopped minced dried onion to the soup, and I just wanted to show you guys this. This is my homemade garlic powder. I've also got homemade garlic salt, and I'm definitely going to do a video to show you guys how to make this. So the video is not done yet, but when I get it done, I'll put a link to it above so that you guys can check it out. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add this, and there is a secret ingredient in the garlic powder and all of the vegetable powders that I make that make it so that your powder does not cake. You may have tried to make powders before, but see how easily that flows around? It's such an easy ingredient, and you're going to love it. Also, do you recognize this container? This has a nice shaker top, and it also has a nice spoon top. Yep, that's right, you guys. It's a Parmesan cheese container. And I save these all the time for my vegetable powder. So I'm going to go ahead and get this added to the soup. All right, so our soup has been simmering for about 15 or 20 minutes. And I just tested and the potatoes are done. So it's at the last minute here, we're going to add our lamb's quarters. Going to give that a stir. And we're not going to let that cook too long. Let that just simmer for just a bit. And then what we're going to do after it's done simmering, I would say, probably 2-3 minutes to let it get back to a boil, 2-3 minutes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over and we're going to blend it in my Vitamix. Now, if you guys don't have a Vitamix, it's a very, very awesome tool to have in your kitchen. They are a little bit spendy, but you can do so much with them. So this is how you're going to make all your powders, like if you want to make your own chili powder, garlic powder, onion salt, any of those things, you need to have a good blender. So I will put a link in the show notes for this blender. If you're a person that cooks all the time or you're a person that wants to start cooking more, you need to have a good blender. So I'm going to go ahead and let that soup simmer, and we will be back when we're ready to blend the soup. I just want you to look here. See how the lamb's quarters are still that bright green color right there? That's what you want. You don't want to overcook them. All right, we're going to go ahead and fire this up. Now you can see with this Vitamix, you've got a variable speed and you've got a high speed. Your variable speed is down, and then you're able to speed it up from low to high by turning this dial. So we're going to start that off in low. We're going to turn the switch on, and we're going to gradually raise the speed just enough to blend the soup. We don't want to get crazy here. Turning it up. Okay, I think that's going to do it. Now, whenever you get done with your blender, you want to make sure you turn that dial all the way down, because if you have it up to 10 and you go to use it again and you forget to put the lid on or something, or have this little top thing unscrewed, everything's going to come shooting out of the top, and trust me, you don't want that. So we're going to get this soup into some bowls, put a little garnish on it, and we'll be done. Okay guys, so our lamb quarter potato chive soup is all complete. I'm going to go serve up this to the husband, and we're going to really enjoy this because most of the things came from our own land. You can do this too. Just use your imagination. And remember, you guys, you need to be doing things every day to forge your freedom and to create personal liberty in your own life, create more independence and more food security and family security. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel and be looking for podcast episodes to come out soon on foragingfreedomradio.com. Have a good day, and we'll see you next time.